It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.
Welcome to EdTech Mondays Nigeria, a platform that facilitates critical conversations on the use of technology for education in Nigeria. My name is Chiaka, your host, and it's good to be here again. As digital transformation continues to shape various sectors, education remains one of the most critical areas where technology can drive significant impacts. However, the integration of EdTech in Nigeria's educational system remains largely unstructured, with varying levels of adoption across schools. To maximize its potential, clear context-specific standards that define how technology should be integrated into curricula are needed. These standards should not only ensure that EdTech solutions align with learning objectives, but also provide a framework for teacher training, assessment, and continuous improvements. These conversations will evaluate Nigeria's current state of EdTech integration, the gaps in standardization, and how policymakers and innovators can collaborate to systemize technology use in education for sustainable impacts. On the EdTech Monday show this month, we will be evaluating the state of EdTech integration in Nigeria. And I am joined by two amazing guests who will do justice to the conversation. Join me this morning to welcome Chiaka Unegbu. Chiaka is a business development professional with expertise in driving growth and innovation in EdTech. She has led strategic initiatives at Twinkle Nigeria and Topset Tutoring, enhancing user engagement and customer relationships. She is passionate about sustainable development. She mentors young professionals through Teach for Nigeria and actively explores emerging technology and community development. Hello, Chiaka. It's good to have you here. Our second guest is Olayinka Adeosun. He is an educator and social entrepreneur committed to transforming STEM education in underserved Nigerian communities. As the founder of Plot the Graph initiative, he has integrated digital tools, artificial intelligence, and hands-on STEM learning into classrooms, impacting thousands of students. He is an award-winning technology educator and Limitless Space Institute ambassador. He advocates for space education as a catalyst for STEM learning, engaging students in microgravity experiments, digital literacy programs, and global collaborations. His work bridges learning gaps and prepares students for the future of work and innovation. Join me to welcome Olayinka Adeosun. Olayinka, welcome to the show today. Our topic of discussion is evaluating the state of EdTech integration in Nigeria. So, what would you consider your biggest wins for the EdTech ecosystem in Nigeria? Chiaka?
So for me, the biggest wins I would consider for 2024 would be one, the fact that we've had an increase or an uptake in teacher training. It's amazing to see more teachers becoming more aware about digital literacy. You can see the adoption of it, not just only in the urban areas, but beginning to see more teachers in the rural areas as well, taking up on that. Then the other one I would also consider a big win is AI. I mean, artificial intelligence is transforming education, and Nigeria is not falling behind. You are seeing in the education space teachers adopting AI to their lesson plan to improve the learning outcome of their student, and also even in the EdTech space as well. You're also finding AI playing a huge role in how we are reimagining education as well and churning out learning resources and content to support education. Thank you.
Okay, Olayinka.
I would say AI is the biggest win in 2024 because it has helped teachers to reduce their workload and teachers are no longer thinking of how to make lesson plan. They just have to modify it. Teachers don't need to struggle with instructional materials. AI are now our assistants in the classroom. Making instructional materials is now easy, and different sectors of education are now making use of AI. It's to integrate AI into their meetings, text to speech, and all of that. This is a big win in 2024. They are still modifying different AI. A different platform are now using AI integrated tools into their platform. Another win is the widespread of virtual lab, which is helping teachers that teaching physics, biology, chemistry, especially in the underserved community, to teach without physical laboratories. It makes learning fun and interactive. So that's the biggest win for me in 2024.
Thank you so much for your response. Now, with all you have said, what is the current level of EdTech adoption in Nigeria's education system? Do you believe that EdTech is adequately involved in the teaching and learning processes as we have currently, both in public schools and in private schools? Chika?
I would say in slow pace, but there's still progress going on. So, for instance, you can see in the private schools, you'll find that such schools, they are able to adopt education technology quicker compared to the rural areas because they have access to infrastructures. You would also find that even private schools in urban areas, especially, not just the rural area, but urban areas, they're able to, if you go to private schools in urban areas, you would find them making use of the interactive whiteboard. They're also able to use digital schools. Even during COVID, you would find that it was even the private schools that were able to transition quicker to virtual learning compared to the public schools. And that is because of, if you really look at it, in the public schools in rural areas, you would find that they don't have access to infrastructure. So take, for instance, electricity. They don't have access to electricity. They do not even have access to the internet. So adoption is at a slow pace, but there's still room for progress. And we have helpers or partners, education partners or stakeholders trying to work on those gaps.
Thank you so much, Chika, for your response. Olayinka, do you have something to add here? Do you agree or not?
For me, I would say the level of EdTech integration, it varies significantly between public schools and private schools. In public school, I've witnessed the challenges there, and these challenges range from unreliable electricity or non-existence of electricity, limited internet connectivity, outdated computers and software. These are barriers that contribute to students not reaching the full benefit of digital learning. I will share from my own experience. I went through a global program and I received, as part of the STEM kit, a pocket lab. It is a device that can measure real-time data. And this device can measure data like light intensity, magnetic field, humidity, and so on. So when I engage my students in science and technology, science became more real. Students visualize the data and they analyze it. But now let's talk about the cost. The cost of this device is about $198. Imagine if public schools can integrate this into the classroom. Learning will be more interesting and fascinating for them. But the reality is teachers cannot afford it. But in private schools, they have better funding. They have access to better funding, and they integrate smart board. They pay for learning management systems. They pay for data platform which they use in engaging their students. So the current level of EdTech integration is inconsistent, is progressively slow, and it's due to different systematic barriers.
My next question, and possibly final question, is who should then be responsible for EdTech adoption in Nigeria? Are the existing ministries and agencies well equipped to support EdTech integration at scale? Do they know what is involved? And here, I'm thinking about different ways we could possibly support them. Who should be responsible? Ministries, teachers, EdTech developers, you, me? Chika, let's hear from you.
I think it is a collaborative effort. The stakeholders, all the major stakeholders, like the ministries and agencies. So, for instance, at the ministry level, which is at the top front, you have the Federal Ministry of Nigeria taking the forefront when it comes to policy making and also funding, creating budget for these policies to make sure that they're effectively implemented. Then you also have the state level, state government also working alongside with the federal ministry to create content or solution that meets their needs as well at the state level. Then alongside with the ministries and agency, you do have private sector. You also have EdTech providers that would also support in making sure that EdTech adoption is also being received at the brass level. So these, I believe, should also work alongside with also the private sector to ensure that access to internet, access to electricity, which is one of the major gaps when it comes to being able to adopt EdTech at a large scale, is being solved. So when you have this collaboration working together, we'll be able to ensure that it is being integrated at scale. At the moment, because we don't have policies implemented, there's no uniformity when it comes to the policies across the board, across the different states. You definitely find those gaps or those stop gaps that is preventing EdTech adoption at the large scale. So for instance, I would just want to give an example. So imagine if we have at the ministry level, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy working alongside with private network providers, for instance, and they're able to provide access to internet at the rural areas. We'll be able to solve, at least to some extent, the issue that we've identified earlier about the gaps that public schools in rural areas or even private schools in general in rural areas are currently facing. So I believe that, like I said earlier, it is a collaborative effort, not just only the government solving the problem, but working, whether it is public and private, having that partnership will be able to move the needle forward. Okay, so to answer the second part of your question, I do not believe we have the capacity for now, at the moment, to adopt EdTech at scale because already we mentioned the issue of funding. We mentioned the issue of, while it's great that we have policies at place, implementation or execution is not being done properly. Then we also have other issues as well that we need to solve. So no, I don't believe it's something that we can move at scale, but these are problems that we can easily solve.
Thank you so much. And Olayinka, from the point of view of an educator who has worked with thousands of learners, who should be involved, whose work, on whose table does the buck stop when it comes to EdTech integration in Nigeria?
The Federal Ministry of Education with agencies like Nigeria Education Research Development Councils, the Universal Basic Education Commission, and the National Information Technology Development Agency are leading the front line in policy making and infrastructural development. I think we have some policy in place already. A notable one is the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy. We need to go back to this policy and look at the loopholes because the implementation is weak. And what we can do is partner with some think tanks, research organization, some monitoring and evaluation organization to come in and evaluate what are the measures, what are the impacts so far, and look back. And government should fund this project back so that it can come to life. Another area which I would say the government should invest in capacity building for teachers. We need to invest in capacity building. There are some courses that teachers need to take. There are some courses by Microsoft and Google. These are useful courses for teachers which government need to do partnership with. And also, imagine creating a policy on coding for students and we don't have infrastructure in place. We still have electricity problem. We still have unreliable internet, and government need to subsidize all this, partner with internet providers so that they can subsidize the fee. Recently, the price of data just went up. So imagine the students in rural communities, they won't be able to do anything with this, and this is our problem. The roles of teacher is to accept and be ready for change. As emerging technologies are coming, they should be ready to accept it. And also stakeholders like school administrators should encourage their teachers, should foster the culture of innovation in the classroom and in the school.
Thank you so much, Olayinka, for your response. And now to you, our listeners, we would love to hear from you. With all the noise and excitement you hear about the role of technology in improving learning outcomes in Nigeria, do you think we are doing enough? Have you started seeing the impact of technology on education in Nigeria? Are your learners learning better? Are school systems and educational systems now being upgraded or made better because of the introduction of technology? Do you think that we are doing enough, or is there still more work to be done? I'd love to hear from you. Send me your thoughts via SMS or WhatsApp on 0703 165 0809. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, Olayinka, for the time. This is not where it ends. We'll be continuing next week on another level of this conversation. So thank you so much for your time this week. We hope to see you again next week. And to you, Chiaka, thank you so much. Till next week, thank you for gracing our airwaves today. Now, to you, our listeners, remember, the conversation does not end here. You can join any of our communities either on WhatsApp or Telegram at EdTech Mondays Nigeria to continue the conversation. And if you know anyone that has missed today's episode or wants to go back to listen to previous episodes of the EdTech Mondays Nigeria show, you could search for us on Spotify at EdTech Mondays Nigeria. Until I come your way same time, on this same topic, on this same station, I remain your host, Chinyelu Akpa. It's bye for now.
It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.